So welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinning Women podcast. You are in for a treat today because I have my dear friend Alexis Hart McDowell, who is a badass real estate attorney out of Chi-Town. And so I'm excited to have her on the show so that she can really give you the entire scoop on being able to create financial freedom as a real estate investor. And I think that this is something that you often hear people talking about, like as an opportunity for real estate investing, but you're not often hearing people, women specifically, breadwinning women who are doing it and making it happen. So, welcome to the show, Alexis. So excited that you are here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I really am appreciative of you having me on to kind of share some knowledge and help these breadwinning women win even more through real estate investing and creating generational wealth.
Well, let's start about your journey as a real estate attorney. So, tell a little bit more about what you do as a real estate attorney and how you got your practice off the ground.
Absolutely. So I've been a real estate attorney for 20 years, and I have noticed with my clients, I represent a lot of different developers, flippers, community developers here in Chicago. And their biggest issue all the time, these are all people of color, deals with access to capital. So it's either finding avenues to get that capital for their project, or finding other investors and other opportunities for their projects to be funded. And it's always an access to capital or not enough capital for the project. So that was a common theme throughout the communities of color that I serve. And I said, look, I'm a real estate attorney. I understand how these deals work. I understand how this goes. How can I be a problem solver and get to the root of this problem with access to capital for my community, right? Because so many times, all of the investors come from out of state. They're coming from Florida. They're coming from Texas. They're coming from California. And none of them look like us, nor do any of them reside in the neighborhoods that we have created and we have made great. And I said, look, there's got to be a way for us, people of color who live in these neighborhoods, to be the bank, to help finance these deals for these community developers who are coming in and making our communities better. So after so many years in practice, I said, hey, I want to start this new venture. And that venture was a Black-owned hard money lending company called Epic Impact Investors. So that's how my real estate journey, my real estate attorney journey basically led me over here to the financing portion.
When you said be the bank, I literally got a chill. And I mean, I think can you just talk more about that? Like, what does that look like to be in a position where we can, communities of color can begin to be the bank and fund their own deals? Like, what does that look
Yes.
like?
First of all, let me just tell you that it is an absolute game changer. Okay. First and foremost, it's a game changer. Um, I think that so many people, especially our communities, are conditioned, right? Conditioned to believe that there's only one or two, maybe three ways to get money for investing, right? And it's like, oh, you got to go to the bank. You got to go to the bank. And we all know historically and even presently, because I don't even have to say historically, how banks treat people of color, right? And like I said, I don't even have to say historically, because Wells Fargo literally is in the news probably every 5 years for doing the same stuff over and over again to communities of color and people of color, right? So, we know how banks treat us. So we always are feeling like, what's the point? Why go there just to get a rejection, or they undervalue our communities, or they don't want to carry the risk, the same amount of risk that they would in a predominantly white neighborhood. So they give us less money, right? And you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I'm trying to do a big renovation, right? What am I going to do?
I can only put a door in with this.
Yes, like quit playing with my emotions here. So it's a game changer as far as mindset goes when we realize to say, hey, I don't have to go to the bank, right? I don't have to go to you. I have other options. And those options turn out to be us, right? We are the ones that we have been looking for. All right. And we have plenty of Black people and people of color and brown people with money who want to invest. Some of us have done fantastically well through the pandemic and even beforehand. But what we are typically is risk adverse. And so when you become the bank, it allows you to not only be the investor in the project, right? You are investing in a Black or brown developer, typically in that neighborhood, right? They're hiring Black and brown contractors, right? You're providing skills and education for those contractors and probably on the job training for other Black and brown youth. The homeowner is probably going to be a person of color moving back into that community and that renovated property. And so when you do that, that home goes back on the rent rolls. I'm sorry, the tax rolls for the municipality, the city, the village, whatever, right? So now you've literally being the bank at the top to really start that money cycle working is a game changer because you've touched every other aspect and through that one piece of property and truly have helped the community. Because when it goes back on the tax rolls for the community, you have uplifted that community because now more money can go into that community. So it's a game changer as far as mentality. It's a game changer for our communities. And knowing that people of color are out here, they want to invest. They have a lot of knowledge about real estate investing now. Before, we didn't have that much knowledge, but now they know about it. They're getting more educated and they want to do this because they understand the returns on their money and they understand the risks associated with it, which is lower than a lot of other investment activities because it's backed by a hard asset, which is real estate. And as we know, real estate is not going anywhere. Property, they're not making any more of. I mean, the land, that is.
Yeah. So let's break down, Alexis, like what like how hard money lending works, because I think the name can make people think like there's a negative connotation where it's actually an opportunity, right, to be able to get some of these deals done where you can't get access to traditional capital. So how does hard money work different from going to a bank?
Absolutely. So hard money, you're right, sometimes gives a bad connotation, but it is absolutely not negative. Hard just means a hard asset. That means the real estate, the property, the home, the renovation project, all of those terms for just the example of a hard asset. Okay. So that's all it means. It's just investing, and the hard asset is collateral. No different than your current home. Most of us have a home with a mortgage on it. That mortgage is collateralized or backed by our hard asset, which is our homes, which is why the banks can take us into foreclosure and take that home back if you don't pay your mortgage. That's exactly the same concept. So let me break down something about Epic Impact Investors. So Epic Impact Investors is what I call a dual educational and opportunity company. Okay. So we, one, give hard money loans. All right. In underserved communities. A lot of times, a lot of hard money lenders don't want to come in and invest in our communities. And two, we are a capital investor development company, meaning capital investor, meaning a person like you, an investor who has capital, who wants to understand, who wants to be developed, no different than professional development, and wants to understand this area of investing. So we have education on that as well. So it's twofold here, all right? Hard money loans and then capital investor development, because we want more people of color to go out and invest in these properties and get to our communities faster and turn over our communities faster, okay? So hard money. Typically, your banks, they will not loan for investment renovation projects. Okay. Your Bank of Americas, your Chases, your Wells Fargo, your PNCs, all of, they don't have a loan product for that. They just don't, right? So you have to go to a specialty lender, someone who may give renovation loan financing, but the most popular one is a hard money lender. And hard money lenders are located all across the United States, okay? They're nothing new. In some states, they're more heavily regulated, like California. In other states, there's barely any regulation at all, and they can operate freely, kind of like Illinois. So when you're renovating a home, or a person buys a property to renovate to flip, meaning they're going to sell it, or they're going to Airbnb it out for commercial uses, anything that's not their personal residence, like they're not renovating it to move into it personally, you can do a commercial loan on. And typically our terms are 13% and 3 points. So our investors will get a 10% return on their money. And my company, being the servicer of the loan, will take the 3% and 3 points. Okay. So a lot of places you're like, well, where can I go to get a return, a 10% return on my money? It's typically in a year, right? Because our loan terms are typically for a year. People are like, well, where can I go and get a 10% return? Right here with a hard money lender. And it's something that a lot of people of color had no clue about. It's like, where do you think hard money lenders get their money to invest from? They get it from people like you and me, and they also get it from financial institutions. So you have institutional funds, and there's a lot of controversy between using institutional funds because they can pull those funds. But there's not a white man on a golf course today who doesn't have as part of their portfolio investment through a hard money lender in real estate, because it's truly passive. Because you're saying, hey, I need 50 grand. This particular entity needs to rehab this home. I've got, two other people putting some money in. The hard money lender, we manage the property. We're going out there watching the construction. We're giving the construction draws. They don't just get all the money up front. They have to do a certain amount of work. We verify it, give them some more money. They do some more work. We verify it, give them some more money. So we're protecting the money as well. And you're getting a 10% return. So it's not like you're a landlord where you got to collect that rent every month or fix the faucet or fix the toilet. It's a truly passive investment opportunity that a lot of people have no clue about. And I'll tell you, I like to tell this story. I was listening to this podcast and on hard money lending, and this guy, he's here in Chicago, but he lives way up north. And he knew about this in college, this white guy. He knew about this in college. And I had no clue. I was like, well, what was I doing in college? What I was doing in college was trying to get a job. Okay. Right. They're over here. They already knew about this type of investing, turned it down. He was like, oh, I thought that was for when I got old. Like, because my grandfather was doing it. I knew about it, but I was like, oh, when I get older, I'll do that. So I'm like, the fact that you even knew that this was an opportunity that you had the choice to pass up or not back in college just shows you how far along other people are in their knowledge of this type of investing and real estate in general, that we are just now getting exposure to this and starting to understand, oh, where does the flow of money come from? It comes from right here. Yeah. So it is a great opportunity. And I'm sure we'll get into it in a minute about how people who are entrepreneurs, I'm an entrepreneur myself, right? Can use this as a way to build a retirement portfolio that has some income coming in for them.
Yeah, I love that. So basically, hard money benefits in two ways. Number one, it's a way for people in communities of color to get access to capital outside of a traditional bank. And Alexis, you advising me on the deal that I did in Philly, and I was like, where are the people that fund ground up construction, right? Like, it's just like there's no bank. Like they don't even offer it anymore. And so
you have to go to a CDFI. You have to find yourself a CDFI, and you're lucky if you qualify for that because you don't have any development experience. So it's
that's
really put you between a rock and a hard place, right?
Yeah, that's what I kept coming up against. They're like, oh, great. We would love to work with you. How many properties have you built? I'm like, wait, this is my first property. I'm trying to build it now. They're like, no,
Yep.
they're absolutely not. Right. So yeah, it's crazy. So they were like, you need a partner who's already done ground up builds in order to get money from us, period.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so it's an opportunity for those that are looking for funds to be able to do deals, in communities that they're not able to get financed by banks. But then there's this whole flip side to it where as business owners, there's an opportunity to work with hard money lenders as an investment vehicle that you can passively have your money in assets that are generating income up to a 10% return and be able to secure your future with this lender
Yes.
working on your behalf. So how so tell us about, what is the entry point in terms of cash that you need to have available to do this, and how do they find these hard money lenders? Like, are you out doing presentations for people? Like, how do they come to hear about this opportunity?
Oh, excellent question. So let's take the first question first. Okay. So, um, how can you invest via a hard money lender, right? So hard money lenders, like I said, are located everywhere. What's the amount of money that you need to invest with a hard money lender? And honestly, it depends on the particular lender. You have lenders who say, oh, you have to have a minimum of $100,000. You have other lenders who say, you got to have a minimum of 200,000, right? So it really just depends on the hard money lender. Because my focus is communities of color and being there for underserved communities, I try to lower that barrier of entry for a lot of people of color, because I understand we don't have a lot of us don't have $100,000 just lying around, right? We want to get started in real estate investing, but maybe we only have 25,000, maybe we only have 50,000, right? So what I do is when I'm structuring a deal, when someone says, hey, I have a development project, here's all my information, and I've greenlit them, then I go to my investor list and I said, all right, this project is greenlit. We are now going to be taking funding for this project. This is the scope for the project, all of the information. Let's just say they're looking for 250,000, right? And I'm like, all right, who's interested? And how much do you want to put forth? And an investor will say, oh, I'm interested and I've got, 50 grand. Okay, great. Now I'm down to 200. I'm interested and I've got 25 grand. Okay, great. I'm going to take that. That's 75. I'm interested. I've got another 50. Okay. So now we're at 125,000. And we do it like that until we fill it in. So I have people on deals right now who only had 15,000, who only had 10,000. Right. And I fill them in at the end because it gives them an opportunity to start earning a return on their money as well. And they don't have to be up there with the $100,000 people. Right. Now, when I structure a deal like that, I try to do the least number of people just for management purposes, right? For the back office, it's just easier to manage four people who were able to come up with 250,000 than it is to manage eight people, right? That's the only difference. So I do take into consideration and try to lower that barrier entry by creating room for those people with the tens and the $15,000. But it really just depends on the hard money lender and what their standards are. But since that's my focus, then I'm trying to make a way for that to happen. Okay. Now, the second part of your question was, where do you find money to invest? And this is probably one of the most popular questions that I get. And I tell people there's a couple of different ways to find money to invest. And you really have to change your mindset as an entrepreneur to really be resourceful and understand what money and what accounts is going to work for you the best, not only right now, but in retirement as well. Because I always tell people as an entrepreneur, we're worried about right now income and retirement income, because that check in the next 2 weeks isn't guaranteed, and that retirement isn't guaranteed. So we're always balancing right now and retirement. Okay. So first of all, there's a lot of people before they were an entrepreneur, they worked a 9 to 5, right? And most of them have some type of 401k plan that they just have sitting there, right? Because they left the job, they never rolled it over, they just have it, right? Well, there's something called a solo 401k with checkbook control. And this is what I have. So after working umpteen years at a 9 to 5, I had so much in my 401k. I started my own law practice, and then I created a 401k for myself, right? And you roll that money right on over into your own solo 401k with checkbook control. That is so important. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. One of the big differences with a solo 401k is that you get to use your 401k as an alternative investment vehicle. Yes, you could invest in alternative things that you could not invest in your 9 to 5. So you can practically invest in anything with your solo 401k except for like collectibles and life insurance. So, like no collecting baseball cards or little Russian dolls or anything like that. And you can't invest in life insurance, clearly, right? But you can invest in gold, crypto, Bitcoin, all of that. And you can invest in real estate. Yes. Now there's some rules regarding solo 401ks and self-directed IRAs. I just did a whole series on that last month, which was June, on my Facebook page. So I just did a whole series on that. There's 5 major rules you have to be aware of, but they're most that everybody's not going to have a problem with. But that really is the number one source, is an old 401k that you can roll over. And now you have legal access to those funds without a distribution penalty, without a tax penalty. So if you've got 500, 600, 700,000 in a 401k, and that's not unusual. I do know people who have, that amount of money in a 401k plan, they just can't access it. As an entrepreneur, you can go out and buy a whole 2-3 unit building for $300,000 and start cash flowing that rent. That rent money goes back into the 401k plan. But what else do you have? You now have an asset that's appreciating, so that by the time you retire, you can make a choice. You can say, hey, I'm going to hold on to this property and continue to let those rents flow into my retirement account so I continue to have money to live off of. That's cash flow for your retirement. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to sell this building. This building has appreciated so much. I'm going to sell it and put all that cash, and now I'm going to have that cash sitting there for my retirement as well. So there's so many different ways that can benefit you by using your solo 401k. So that's the first one. And that's like a whole nother episode, that alone. But when entrepreneurs learn about that, first of all, they're blown away. They're like, oh my God, I can have access to that money. Yeah, but you need to follow the rules. But yeah, it's an easy thing. And you get to write a check. That's why I said checkbook control. When I bought my last investment property, we had checkbook control of it. We paid cash, was like $90,000, wrote that check. We own the property. That was it. Done and done, right? You're not worried about a lender. Oh, well, how much did you make this month as an entrepreneur last month? Did you have a good year or bad year last year? Nope. I had the money in my account. I wrote the check, and that was it. The second one is an investment partner. There are some deals that really work out well if you have someone who has additional capital who can go in with you. Maybe you both have 50,000. So now you've got 100,000 to get an investment property. Or maybe both of you, one person has the cash and the other person has the experience. There's different ways to create an investment partnership that can help bring cash to the table for you to get an investment property or to invest via a hard money lender. Okay. And then the third way that I'm just going to touch on, because it is so massive, you're going to definitely need another podcast for it. And it's called the infinite banking system. And that's what I have as well. And it's based on life insurance. And what you want to do is maximize the cash value and minimize your death benefit. And that access to that cash allows you money to invest. So you can literally take a loan out from that and buy another piece of property if you want, or use that cash and invest via a hard money lender, get your 10% return, and then it goes back into your life insurance plan. There's so many different ways, but those are just the top ways to find capital to invest in real estate. And I have to say that the number one thing is you got to shift your mindset. I know that you talk about that a lot. Everything with entrepreneurship is based on mindset. It's no different with real estate investing. You have to shift the mindset to say, hey, I can do this. I will do this. And I can do this successfully, right? There's so many people out here doing it successfully that there's no reason why you can't as well.
Yeah, I love this. So tell me, without us diving into it, like with the life insurance, what kind of policy is that?
It's a whole life insurance policy, but they have to add on additional policies. There's only I think last time I was informed, 3 or 4 companies that set it up this way. And it's truly, truly, truly how the uber wealthy create literally their own economy. They don't have to go to the bank and ask for a loan. They don't have to have anybody for a loan because they're dumping money into this policy that's structured a very particular way. You can't just go to your local life insurance agent. They most likely don't do it. It's structured a specific kind of way. You just dump money in there. They're taking a loan from it. They're charged a 4% interest that you're getting back into your account. The 4% interest is charged by you, given to you, back to your account. So it's continuing to grow, right? And there's no restrictions on what you can do with that money. And it really opens up doors for entrepreneurs because you don't have to now go to a bank and show asset statements and tax returns and this. If you're starting with it early and you dump enough, keep dumping money, and they keep building policies and adding policies on, then you keep putting money in and putting money in as you're maxing out policies. You don't have to do anything with an external financial institution again, because you created your own bank. And that's what the uber wealthy have done. So when I just watched an Instagram of Neil Patel, he's a marketing guru, like he does Uber Suggest, like that's his stuff. And he in this Instagram reel, he talks about, yeah, I spend $25,000 a month on insurance. Well, anybody who's spending that level of money on insurance, they're definitely doing the infinite banking. So he's pouring money into that now because he has all that cash and all of that cash flow now, that he's creating his own economy for later.
Do you need a lot of money for those kinds of policies on a monthly basis? Like if a person.
Oh, no, it truly, truly depends on what your limits are. So clearly, if you want $1 million policy, you probably need to put in $2,500 a month, right? But you can do things for like $1,000, $1,500, $1,750 a month, that instead of just sitting in your savings account, you just start putting it in there. You start funneling it in there. And the faster you do it, the better access, the quicker you have access to those funds, right? And what I really want you to take away from that is the gem that I learned the other day is high cash value, low death benefit. Okay. Mm-hmm. High cash value, low death benefit.
Okay.
Because there's agents out there that's like, oh, we'll get your death benefit so high. And you're like, I don't really need that much. When I die, it's not gonna take that much to live, right? I'm gonna need the high cash value because I want all the cash now. And if you're doing it right, we're here having a conversation about creating generational wealth. If you do it right, you're leaving the legacy for those to whom you want to leave it to. You're leaving buildings that you bought with renters, with cash flow coming in, with no mortgages. How awesome is it to leave an investment property with no mortgages to whomever you want to, right?
Yeah.
So instead of saying, oh, I need $1 million, they get that upon my death. No, build a $4 million real estate portfolio, and then, they'll have enough money to bury you. The death benefit of $200,000 for death benefit is more than enough to bury you. Okay. More than enough.
Okay. So many nuggets in there. Oh my gosh. So first, a quick, have you read the book Be Your Own Bank or Build Your Own?
No, I haven't read that one.
Okay, I'm gonna have to send it to you. But I believe that book, I mean, it sounds like you're already privy to all of this, but I believe that book talks about these types of policies. So I got that book to learn about this. So I'm really excited that you're talking about this and that you're already investing. So I'm definitely have to get the whole scoop offline on how to do this.
Oh, absolutely. And I did it because, I want to retire. As an entrepreneur, I want to retire. And quote unquote retire means what it means to you. It means to me that maybe I'm taking 5 clients a month, right? Maybe I'm going to fully retire and be like, no, I'm shutting down the law practice. Or maybe I want the option. It's like, I'm only taking clients that do this, right? But whatever retire means to you, that's what I'm setting myself up for that, for the income. Because regardless of whether or not I'm working, I'm going to need the income because I want to travel. I want to take care of my grandkids when I have some. I've got very little kids right now, very, very little kids. So it'll be a while for grandkids. But I want to be able to have income when that time comes, and setting up the insurance policy like that now will enable me to live that type of lifestyle later on in life. So yes. And those who, and I always feel a certain kind of way. I'm like, so this is not new, right? Things like this have been around forever. And we just end up finding out about it. But imagine if my parents knew about this and they set this up, my life would look totally different, right? Yeah. What if I even knew about this in my 20s? My life would be totally different right now because I would have 20 years of investing in something. My children's lives would look different, right? But when you talk about what the wealthy are doing, this is what they're doing. This is why they always have money, because they created their own ecosystem. They don't have to borrow from a bank. Pay who back? No, I'm going to pay me back. That's what they're going to do. They're going to pay me back. And nobody's going to sue me if I miss my payment, right? Nobody's coming after me. It's not on a credit report. You don't pull a credit report, right? When you want to take a loan, you call people up and fill out the form and take a loan and get your money, period. They're not saying, well, how much did you make last month? Huh? Right. Send us your W-2 for the last 3 years. Send us your tax return. No, send me my money is what you're going to do. Yeah. So yes, creating that entire ecosystem for yourself, I think, is important as well. And like I said, it all goes back to building real estate. Now you have a reservoir or a repository of cash that you can access to jump on, invest real estate investment deals, even as an entrepreneur, and be passive about it, because nobody wants another job, right?
I love what you said about being able to leave your family like $4 or $5 million real estate portfolio, as opposed to thinking about the cash. Is it true? I was learning something about this recently, that there's a benefit to, somebody was telling me that there's what do you call it? Like some kind of gifting tax or something like that. Like if for example, I know you're going to leave your children real estate. Do you need to have their names on the deeds in the advance of you passing, so that there's no, I was hearing about a transfer tax or something that happens. Is that accurate? Is that a real thing or not a real thing?
It's a real thing, and it applies in certain scenarios, right? It applies in certain situations that the IRS designates, okay? So how people kind of get around that is by leaving things in trust, and children are beneficiaries. You don't necessarily have to have their names on deeds or anything like that. People put things in LLCs. They're typically held by business entities, and then the business entity could be located in a trust as well. Then they'll put that business entity in a trust. There's just so many ways to avoid it. And remember, what the wealthy are doing at that point is they're not worried about income, because just the interest alone on the principal that they're making, right? They're not outspending that, just the interest. Okay. When you have multi-millions of dollars, you have $200,000, $200 million, $20 million. I'm not actually taking from the principal anymore. I'm just living off the interest of 200 million and 20 million, right? So what they're doing is their whole goal is to avoid taxes, right? So they do that through tax planning with sophisticated tax professionals. That's why they're doing things like trusts and LLCs and doing other sophisticated things, because their whole goal is to avoid paying taxes. Where we're worried about income, and then we find the right tax preparer and the right bookkeeper and this, that, and the other. They don't have an income problem. All they're worried about is, how do I reduce these taxes? How do I get around these taxes? And that's the big controversy or push and pull, right? Between us in the middle class who are paying taxes, who subsidize everything, and all we do is pay taxes. And then the wealthy and the 1% who are over here like, because I know how to get around paying taxes, suckers, right?
Right. It's a whole different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different mindset. It's a different mindset.
Yeah, I love it. So let's go back before we wrap to your real estate business, your law practice, and when you first started doing this yourself. So before you had Epic Investors, Epic Impact Investors, you were investing yourself. So
yes,
how did you, like, what were those first moves that you were making by taking some of the profits that you were earning in your business to be able to get started before you got on the journey of creating this whole second venture doing this?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I represented various developers, real estate developers, flippers, right? And so when they weren't my clients, so I couldn't invest in them if the deal was with me, I would, when they needed capital, I would say, hey, I've got 25 grand. They need to finish a garage. And then they would start reaching out to me saying, hey, Alexis, do you know anybody? We're 3/4 away with this construction. We need to put a garage up to really meet the comps. We need 15 grand for a garage. And I'm like, yeah, I know some people. What's the return, right? And when you're in that second position loan, because they have a primary loan, you're going to get 20%. That's not unheard of on that second position, right? So it really started out of, again, necessity and need of clients and former clients who still needed capital to move their projects along, right? Because remember I said the banks either wouldn't give them money or they would underfund them. And so they would need private investors to make up the difference. And I just happened to have been one of the private investors. Now, I didn't go in it willy-nilly. It's like I knew these clients, they finished projects. I was their attorney on so many deals. And then I start to understand and do my own research and say, hey, I, Alexis, have no interest in flipping a house, right? That's not my calling. That's not what I would enjoy doing. But I do enjoy putting my money to work. I do enjoy making my money work for me and passively investing it and getting a return on it. And as long as you're protected by putting a mortgage on the property, even if it's in the second position, then they can't sell that property out from under you without coming to you for a payoff, right? A release. And that's one thing that I definitely always suggest to clients. Like, don't do things on just a promissory note. A promissory note does nothing for you but send you to court if you want to, fight over the promissory note, what's owed on it. So that's literally how I got started, by clients and former clients who needed cash, who needed money. And I'm a really good saver. And so I had cash ready to deploy, and it worked like that. And then others saw that what I was doing and wanted to join in. And I still have people, texting me to this day saying, hey, I've got 20 grand. Let me know about another, a next deal that you know about, or something, a good deal that I can invest in. So, and the fact that it's real estate gives people some assurances too, because it's a hard asset. It's not the stock market, and you're not just working off of somebody's brain in an office and hopefully make the right call for the stock to go up and down, right? And that they're not doing anything that's going to put them in disrepute or ill repute in the public eye, and we just cancel them.
So do you have any suggestions for someone that wants to, like you said, you're a great saver, who wants to set themselves up for this? Was there a certain percentage of your profit that you were setting aside so that you would have the opportunity to reinvest it? Like, how does somebody, get going? Like, what are their first, 3 or 4 steps that they can take to?
So the first thing is, yes, just to start stacking your capital, make a goal, right? So I started smaller years ago, just because I didn't have the right mindset. I was like, oh, I'm only going to put $1,000 a month, this, that, and the other, right? But and then I had the solo 401k too. So I had immediate access to funds. So if someone needed 70, 80, $90,000, I'm like, yeah, I can write a check for that. What's the terms, right? So that's where that solo 401k came in handy early on as well. Then I started increasing my own personal cash, because I took this mastermind and I was spending $2,500 a month on this mastermind, and I made it through a whole year. And I was like, you know what? If I could pay her $2,500 a month, I'm going to pay myself $2,500 a month. And literally after that, I said, you know what? I just automatic transfers. That's how I do all the savings, is automatic transfers. And before I looked up, I had $30,000 in my savings account. And I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. And it didn't bat an eye. It didn't affect anything with my operations. It was good. So I was like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. So ever since then, I've just been socking away money for different things. So now most of it I sock away in my infinite banking, because I'm building that out, like I said, for my retirement, my long-term goals. And while, of course, having some immediate liquidity available to me as well.
And how do people find, so you saved the money, you got to 20, 30,000 to be able to get started with the investments. How does someone find a hard money lender like yourself? Where should they go looking?
So first, you can look for us. We're at epicimpactinvestors.com, and there's a link that says invest with us. And all you do is fill out the information. We just ask for, the amount that you're comfortable with investing. Don't put 100 grand if you don't have 100 grand. If you've got 10, put 10 down. Like I said, I put people with 10 grand on deals. And that goes to my
That's amazing. I didn't know you were doing people outside of Chicago now.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. As an investor, you can invest in properties in Chicago, right?
Got it.
I don't do investments outside of Chicago right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But the money can come in from whatever state that you're living in. Right.
Okay. Love that.
So the first thing is to get on the investor list. So epicimpactinvestors.com, and you'll see invest with us. Fill out the form, super quick and easy. And when I have a deal that I've greenlit, and what I say by greenlit is we've done all the due diligence on that property. We've visited the property. We've spoken to the owners. We've got all of the information from the owners. We've run all of the numbers. We've had a person come out, check the scope of work, making sure that they're not underbidding or overbidding. Overbidding or underbidding their particular scope of work. We've done everything that we're supposed to do, and we're ready to go, and we're literally looking for funding. So when we send that email out, our investors jump on a call. We say, hey, we got this new opportunity at 123 ABC Street. Whoever's interested, we're looking for $200,000. Whoever's interested, jump on the Zoom call. You register for the Zoom call. We give all the details. If you're interested, you say, hey, I got 25 grand ready to deploy. We say, okay, we'll put you in. When we've met our $200,000 max or whatever it is we're looking for a particular deal, then we cut it off. And you have 48 hours to wire the funds to our account. And then we go to closing with the particular, buyer. They're buying it. So we have Illinois is a title company state, which is an additional protection. So we wire the funds to the title company. and then go through the closing process. Okay. So that's number one. Now, if you're looking for other hard money lenders, just Google hard money lenders in your particular state or even in your particular city. Reach out to them, ask if they're actively taking additional investors. But you want to be mindful and definitely download my capital investing freebie on the Epic Impact Investors website so that you understand what their investment parameters are. They may be doing projects that may be a little bit too risky for you. They may be doing projects that are a little bit too long-term for you. So you need to understand your risk profile and how you want to invest, and then find a comparable hard money lender who is taking investors at that point and that is going to invest in the type of projects that you feel comfortable with.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. This has been amazing, Alexis. Thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge. I mean, literally blowing the minds here with all of these opportunities. I mean, and I'm just so thankful for you, because these are conversations that we need to have more often about what it really my mindset has shifted even more. I'm like, oh, damn, I need to get some stuff up in this place in order. This is
yes,
great.
it makes a difference, right? Because
Really
you got to think like, hey, I actually do want to retire at like 55. What does that look like, right?
Yeah. Being able to set yourself up for success. So thank you so much for being with me today, sharing your knowledge and all of these gems. If people want to reach out to you and just learn more about what you're doing, how can they best get in touch with you?
Oh, wonderful. So if you're interested in the hard money lending, if you're interested in being an investor, definitely go to epicimpactinvestors.com. I have a lot of free resources up there, you all. So please download it. I have a private capital investing guide that will walk you through. That's a free PDF download. Definitely get that. Like I said, if you were interested in being an investor, click on the Invest with Us and fill out the information. If you're looking for real estate legal services in Illinois, reach out to me at enterpriseesquire.com. On either one of those websites, you can book a consultation call. I do consults, so business and real estate related. So book a consultation call. I'm happy to speak with you and get a strategic plan set up for you. So yeah, Epic Impact Investors or enterpriseesquire.com.
Love it. And we'll make sure to link to some of those resources in the show notes so that you have quick access to them. So thank you again, Alexis. This has been amazing. And
thank you. It has been a pleasure to speak with you and your audience. And I'm just so grateful. I am so grateful to be invited on to your podcast. So thank you. I appreciate you thinking about me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go and get that, you can achieve that. Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go and get that, you can achieve that. Daily success, daily success. Plan a week ahead, be excellent. Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go achieve your goal. Transform your life, one routine at a time. Daily success, daily success. Go and get yours. You better go get yours. Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go and get that, you can achieve that. Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go and get that, you can achieve that.